since things have transpired, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, is Kyrie worth the drama? Hell no. And if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm calling up the Houston Rockets today trying to trade him for James Harden. Because here's the deal. It messes up the chemistry. It messes up the flow. Steve Nash didn't even know he wasn't playing the night he decided not to the first game. That's a distraction to the ball club. That is a problem. And who's to say he's not going to do it again? Whenever Kyrie don't feel like playing, he's just not going to show up and not going to text anybody or call anybody or call anybody back. That's not the way to go. But on a further note, here's the problem that I have. We're dealing with a pandemic. People in the world are starving for jobs. If you have a job, you are in a great situation and you ought to be thanking God because you're blessed. Here it is, Kyrie has a job. He has a job that is paying him close to $35 million a year and you're not showing up to work. They have people losing money daily, cannot pay their rent. And then on top of that, you are the vice president of the Players Association, the vice president. And when I came on here a few months ago, before the pandemic, when Kyrie was talking about, when they was thinking about doing the bubble, and he was saying, oh, I don't want to go to the bubble, and we should not play, and this, that, and the other. And I said, the blind is leading the blind, and this is why. You're at a family gathering party with no mask, diddy bopping, like it's nothing wrong with it. While the league is trying to figure out ways to keep guys healthy, to be able to have enough guys to play games, while not to have to postpone games, and you're just being selfish. So if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm getting off of Kyrie ASAP, and it's not worth the drama. Because you need someone that's going to come in and at least know that he's committed to playing the game of basketball. And I know James Harden is being a distraction in Houston. I get that. But he wants out. The brother wants out. And he wants to come to the Brooklyn Nets. We all know this. So I'm saying, looking at last
Philly
night,
now.
looking at the Houston Rockets, well, Philly too. But I'm saying, if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm calling about getting rid of Kyrie, and that's just period, point blank.
Well, let me say this to you. It's Philly more so than Brooklyn now, KP. I found that out about 2 hours ago because of the Kyrie situation in Brooklyn. That's why James Harden would prefer Philly over Brooklyn right now. That's number one. Number two, I was talking to a couple of folks, a couple of high-ranking officials this morning, Max and KP, along with at least one owner and at least a couple of big-time agents. And they all echoed the same thing that somebody just texted me a little while ago. It says here, Kyrie might be close to ending his career because dealing with him is entirely too risky. He can't be trusted. They went on to say, nobody's bigger than the game. The train will head to the next station. And the Brooklyn Nets may have grounds to terminate his contract if he keeps this up, period. Now, I want y'all to take that into consideration.
Wow.
The Brooklyn Nets could potentially terminate his contract because he's taken personal reasons. He hasn't articulated and elocuted what those personal reasons are. We've seen him on video and in photos violating league safety and protocols, therefore endangering the brand. He's come across as incredibly selfish and obviously really, really about himself and what he's thinking. He's been on the record calling folks peons, okay, because he's of a higher plane and a higher thinking than most of us. So in other words, where he's coming from and where his intellectual capacity is, Max, and what he's thinking about and what's permeating his thoughts and his mind, it's so far above us right now, we can't really see the plane he's floating on. Meanwhile, he's in the midst of getting paid $33.4 million. It doesn't work. You got to give up something. So the challenge here is to say, Kyrie, and again, he doesn't have to give up his thoughts on the personal issues he wants to address or the issues that permeate our society. We should applaud him for that. All we're saying is you got to show up to work too, like everybody else does. You can't sit up there and skip your responsibilities in order to address the concerns. You have to find a way to do both. And if you can't do both, think we'd all respect Kyrie Irving if he sat up there and said, you know what? That would be selfish of me to sit up here and collect money from Brooklyn while I don't want to play. So, you know what? So I'm going to pass it up. I'll just retire from the game of basketball, and I'll dedicate at least my immediate future, if not my life, to these issues that are so near and dear to my heart. He's not doing that. He's trying to get the money, too.
Let me say this, Stephen A. I would implore Kyrie, and I know he talks about how smart he is, and you've told me, and many people have told me how smart Kyrie Irving is.
He's not dumb.
I have yet to see evidence of it when he opens his mouth. However, maybe it is true, but I agree his heart seems to be in the right place. Let me say this to Kyrie Irving. I would implore him to not do what you're suggesting, Stephen A., because I don't care how talented you are, and he's extremely talented. Skill and talent are different. Skill you must acquire. Skill takes years of practice and dedication, and you have to have passion to acquire the kind of skills that Kyrie's obviously spent a lifetime acquiring in basketball. I would urge you, Kyrie, not to throw that away because you put in clearly too much work. And forget about just the economic benefits, the $30+ million a year. The fact is it provides a platform. If you're interested in making real change, it helps you do that. And finally, guys, the physical prime is fleeting. You have the rest of your life, not to say you can't also pursue that now, but the rest of your life to do everything else you want. This is the only time you have to do the thing that you've put in so many hours and such a huge percentage of your life building to this point. I would urge him, Stephen A., not to throw that away.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.